Hi, Scottish Mudlarking here with Nicole and Craig. We've come along to Kirkcaldy today and we're searching for spongeware. Now the idea is that we want to kind of give you an idea of what that spongeware looked like when it was originally created. So we've got a book with spongeware patterns in it and we're going to see if we can match up the pieces that we find here today with the patterns that are in the book. And then we're going to say a little bit about some of the young women who used to come around here and collect all the seconds that were thrown into the burn and used to sell them door to door to make a wee living for themselves. A wee bit later on, Nicole's going to make some jewellery using the spongeware that we found today and maybe some pieces that she's had in her collection for a wee while now. Absolutely gorgeous day today. Really just had to get out the door, take our chances, get along down here at Kirkcaldy. Weather's supposed to turn nasty over the next few days, so we're taking advantage of this spell of sunshine. Really beautiful. As always, here in Kirkcaldy, we find these kiln stilts, or kiln furniture. There's another one just off to my left, so I'm going to quite quickly swing down there. Now it's one of these pieces that I suggested was a wee bit like a Thor's hammer. I think Nicole saw it like a duffel coat button. Either way, they're amazing things, really cool. So are we collecting kiln stilts today, do you think?
Always.
Okay, well then I have a wee treat for you. There we go.
Well, thank you. That's nice.
Big chunky bit again, isn't it?
Yeah, Thor's hammer.
Yeah. Oh, you were saying it's duffel coat thing.
Oh well, okay.
One of the two. So I'm not entirely sure if this is transferware or spongeware, but we'll take that along. It's a really chunky piece of blue. Don't think it's a tile piece. I have a really thick piece of sea glass as well, shiny here. Looks like a bottle bottom to me. Really chunky. Seeing that we're actually looking for pottery pieces today, I think I'll take this wee piece along. Some nice frosted sea glass, really nice chunky bit there. Another wee bit just above that. Oh, that's cool. So see this wee bit of a kind of blue here, it's like a baby blue or a sea foam, and right alongside it, first time we've seen one of these here. Now this is a wee bit different. I think that's a wee bit different to the ones that we found at Lower Largo.
Remember the baby?
Yeah, it's quite cute, isn't it?
Yes.
So we'll have to excuse the noise. Crows are actually seabirds in Scotland. Certainly here in Kirkcaldy, yeah. We have quite a lot. Whoops! Quite a lot of crows at the beach. And there's another one. That one's a wee bit bigger. That's very cool. Pair of these wee birds.
Yeah, let's take them.
Very cute. One birdie, two birdie, and some sea foam.
And?
Oh, have you found something? Oh, yeah, you have. It's one of those little pyramid pieces of kiln furniture.
My favourite.
Let's take that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, they're pretty. And that little seafoam piece isn't quite as blue as I thought it was.
No, it's a lovely seafoam.
Yeah, it's still very nice.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, let's see if we can find some of this spongeware then.
Yeah.
Something we don't see often around here, which is I guess more of a surprise than anything else. I think this is a bone from a seagull. Poor wee bean. Lots more wee pottery shards. All blanks, kiln stilts, and I found the tiniest piece with a little piece of blue on it. Now that might be spongeware. I think we'll have a hard time spotting what pattern that would be though. That's very cool. Though you can't see it, there's a slight raised pattern on this. I'll take a closer look at that later. Another nice wee piece there. Wee burgundy line. Lovely. Lovely wee piece of blue pottery in there.
I found a tea spout.
That's very cool. And what's that from?
Well, it's
a teapot.
A teapot, yeah. So if you ever find a piece and it looks kind of like this and it has these weird holes in it, it's obviously there was loose tea before, and if you poured the tea, it got stuck in these little holes. So that's the tea spout, and then it went up here.
So it helps strain out that loose tea leaves.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool. So are you having any luck?
I found two pieces. One is spongeware, the other one is also spongeware, but it only has a stripe on it.
Okay. We'll have a wee look at those.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think Nicole's found a piece of spongeware, the stuff that we've been looking for all day, and yet has managed to evade us, apart from a couple of small pieces.
Yeah.
There we go. That's a lovely wee piece, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's, oh, that's
now just the water's coming in. So the tide is coming in around us just now, so we'll have a quick look at that in your hand.
Oh, that was rescued at the last second.
Yeah, that could have floated back out to sea. We would have been chasing it, swimming after it.
Yeah.
Lots of little pieces of pottery. Thankfully we've now found a few pieces of spongeware, but most of the pieces we're finding are blanks like this piece. I did see something just a minute ago that had a big blue line on it, and I've lost it. I know, typical, isn't it?
I saw it too, but I can't see it now.
Yeah. Oh well.
I think I see something though.
Oh, I think you do see something. It's not just I think I see something. I think that's a definite something there.
Yeah.
You can see it through the waves. It's really pretty through the water actually.
It's, yeah. I'll leave it in there. No, I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, let's take that. That's a piece of spongeware.
Oh, it is. That is very pretty.
That's very nice, very distinctive markings, nice and clear.
Well, I hope we can identify this piece.
Right, so that says Gilmore. Oh, I'll tell you, this is heavy.
And
Watch your fingers. Okay, you take that out. So we think that's Gilmore off Kilmarnock. So there's a Kilmarnock brick manufacturer.
Is that not on the west coast?
Yes, it is. And that's from Kirkcaldy.
Yeah, that's here.
Yeah, that's local. Whilst we're here, very large piece of this ceramic. Well, I think that's obviously a piece of plate.
Yeah.
I think there's no marking on it. Sadly, no spongeware here.
Huh.
But we can definitely see that that's a plate. But it reminds me though, of course, when the potteries were dumping stuff in here way back in the day, people would come along and collect the whole pieces.
These days, on a good day, we find lovely shards and fragments of the things that were once made by the Methven Pottery Company. But up until around 1920, this burn regularly flowed with entire sets of crockery that were ripe for the picking. Back when Kirkcaldy's potteries fired up their kilns on a regular schedule, young women across the town kept pace with these schedules. These young women knew how long it would take for the pottery to be fired, cooled and inspected. They knew that once this time had passed, a horse-pulled wagon would arrive at the Tiel Burn to dump large amounts of pottery seconds. These seconds were plates, cups, saucers, teapots and a multitude of other items that failed to pass factory inspection for one reason or another. Some pieces had failed entirely during firing, leaving only shards, though others had failed inspection because of minor faults in glaze, printed pattern or perhaps a slight misshape. Small groups of young women would flock to the burn to collect the best of these dumped pieces. They would take them home, clean them up, and perhaps, if they were very lucky, they might even match up designs to form sets. Once ready, these young women travelled from door to door around the town selling these seconds for far less than the cost of a perfect piece. While ships exported spongeware pottery around the globe, these young women were making a living or supplementing their earnings as entrepreneurs who took advantage of the opportunities that Kirkcaldy's Tiel Burn offered. They were not alone. We have already mentioned that there was once a trade in sea coal, that is, coal waste that was once far more commonly found along Fife's coast was collected and sold. The major industries of the Fife area often spawned secondary employment for those in need. Very little is written about these people. History excels at telling the big stories, though often lacks enough documentary detail to describe the small though extremely important stories about people like this. Like the shards of pottery that we find today, we are only left with the fragments of a history describing the way ordinary people lived their lives in extraordinary ways. Spending time on the shore here in Kirkcaldy collecting shards of pottery, glass and other pieces of a time gone by, we can't help but think about these young women and how they collected pottery from these sands, and how they too relied on the shore and the activities that took place around it to make their own way in the world. Sadly, we no longer find entire plates, cups, saucers or pots. Instead, we find fragments of a time gone by, fragments that are nonetheless beautiful, and that, like the crockery young girls found here around 100 years ago, can be treated with care so that they can be given a second life as lovely pieces of jewellery.
Wee bit of ginger beer bottle. and the bottom of what looks like it would have been some kind of jar, I think. I'll take this out and put it somewhere in the light. Oh, I say it's in the light, it's really not, it's in the shade here. Take all these pieces.
And this one here. That looks like a tile.
Yeah, that's good. Nice thick piece.
Yeah, all plain.
Yep. So we shall leave these. Maybe somebody else will spot this Gilmore from Kilmarnock brick and be attracted to come along and pick these up. So bizarrely, as is often the case here in Kirkcaldy, the burn manages to redirect itself. Otherwise it's redirected by the movement of large stones that are supposed to prevent coastal erosion. But the consequences of the movement this time is that the burn is now going off in the opposite direction that it used to, and that is having the consequence of creating this little cut-off point. So we're going to have to get off, because this is the way to get off the beach. Nicole's busy searching. Maybe we'll find another piece of spongeware before we go. Fingers crossed. There's an interesting wee top of a jar. Very worn bottom of a jar, and an oddly shaped piece. Not sure what that could have been. And I found another piece of spongeware, just has a red line, but still very pretty. I dare say with that single line we probably won't be able to identify that, but we shall take that as the water comes in. We seem to be doing really well for seafoam pieces today. It's really nice, and beside the broken shells there's a bottleneck in seafoam just off to the left. I think Nicole's going to pop that down here.
Oh yeah?
There you go. So a good day for seafoam. And here's a very unusual kiln still. Never seen one of these before. Do you have one of those?
I've got half one of those.
Ah, okay.
Somewhere. Yeah,
Well,
but they are very rare.
There's a whole one. And another tiny Thor's hammer. Now where's all this spongeware?
Don't know.
Now this looks like a definite bottleneck. It's really thick though. Very, very thick. I'm going to plant that in so you can see how thick it is. It's my finger for a reference point. A wee piece of privacy glass just alongside that other piece of seafoam, and you can maybe just make out that wee bird shape.
Horses?
Yeah, see that? Some horses on the beach today. It's an unusual sight. So have you found anything?
Not spongeware, but
Oh, it's a nice piece of blue glass.
yeah, it is.
That's really lovely.
It's really nice, yeah.
Okay, now I've brought you a little pile of, well, we'll call it treasure for the minute. Let's, okay, if you want to take that blue piece off, I'm just going to put this little pile of goodies. Well, I'm calling them goodies. They might not be goodies.
Alright, yeah. Okay, well there's, I can see a couple of bottlenecks here. I know where you picked them up. A couple of street pieces. Oh, and a partial spongeware piece.
Yeah,
Look at
I thought
that.
that was spongeware. Yeah, okay, let's have a look at that.
Yeah, see if you can see it. I was just sitting here looking through the debris.
Kind of hard to see in here.
Mm-hmm.
I get a sense this is a bit of a trick Nicole's playing on us here. Oh, actually, yeah, okay, there's the wee hint. You give me a wee hint.
I'll point it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's there.
Yeah, now you can only just see the pattern on that. It's very faded.
It is, yeah.
It's much less clear than the wee red stripe
Right,
on that piece of spongeware.
That's right, yeah, that's probably an edge.
Yeah, I think the edge of a plate or a saucer or so.
Mm-hmm. Well, this looks to be my favourite pattern, the Grecian pattern.
Yeah. Let's take those and we'll probably get back to the car. So we've missed out on a trick here. I've only just remembered to say let's go back to the car.
Oh yeah, that's why we didn't find spongeware and marbles.
Really thick, chunky piece of sea foamy. Maybe a wee bit plain, but take that. Now, I'm not sure. I don't think this is spongeware. Whatever it is, it's very worn. Not very clear if there's a pattern on there or not. It's been coloured on both sides at one point. Looks like a red glaze. So I'll take that along. Now what could that be? Oh, just a wee bit of shell.
So I know where the spongeware has been hiding. I just found 3 pieces. There's one here, one there, and one over there.
Very cool. Let's have a wee look then.
Yeah.
There we go, it's a nice wee piece of brown spongeware.
Yeah, it's really nice. You can really see the sponge pattern.
Yeah, nice and clear.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can find those other pieces.
Yeah. They're just over there. Let's have a look.
A wee bit tight in between these rocks here, but I think you can see this piece very clearly. Nice, very clearly marked. Purple piece.
That's lovely. And purple is such a rare colour, so
yeah.
I'm really chuffed with that.
We'll take that one along. Classic spongeware colours. A really nice clean print there as well. You can see the wee leaves.
Yeah, it's a little flower.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, for that one I know I've got a couple of pieces at home, so we can match that. So we found some spongeware, so let's see if we can pair it with the items that we've got in a book and that I've got bookmarked on Pinterest. Now here are the lovely pieces of spongeware we found in Kirkcaldy today. They've all been worn down by the sea over about 100 years. Now they're really lovely and smooth to the touch. So I've been looking through my books of spongeware and I've been able to match these 4 pieces. One of the few named spongeware patterns was called the Grecian pattern. It was very popular, so many items were made that I have almost found enough pieces to make an entire plate. You can see the lovely scrollwork pattern on this piece. It's printed in a subtle shade of grey and it was made around the 1880s. I hope that one day I have enough pieces to fill the plate so I can frame it. This is a really cute pattern. I have a few pieces that have more of the little pink flowers on them, so I immediately recognised this pattern when I found this piece. I think it's a rather romantic and delicate pattern. It is easy to imagine this as a piece of a ewer along with its washing bowl in a grand bedroom in some fancy house. This leaf pattern that almost looks a bit like fern or maple leaves was a new pattern for us. We hadn't found it before and it was exciting to find this children's teacup set printed in red to get an idea of what it would have looked like when it was made. This red and green pottery piece was more difficult to match. not least because very similar patterns were made by several potteries in Scotland. As I discovered, it is called the Glasgow Rose pattern because it was influenced by Charles Rennie Mackintosh's rose designs. A little bow! This piece was always a mystery, so when I finally found this match, it was really lovely. The red bow and green leaf pattern is very festive looking, and it always reminds me of Christmas. The inscription on this bowl is in Scots, and it translates as, "Your eyes are harder to fill than your stomach." It basically means, don't be greedy. I always thought that these crown pieces must have been made for royal events. After some research, I found that crowns and flags were often made to commemorate events that took place during the First World War, and that many were intended to celebrate Anglo-French alliances. This wee brown piece puzzled me. I hadn't realised that it was part of an image of a cow standing in a field until I looked through my pottery pieces again. What a quirky and fun piece this once was, a cow in a field. I love matching little pieces of sea pottery. It's fascinating and often very interesting. The sea has given the pieces we find a lovely soft matte finish, but when potteries made spongeware over 100 years ago, it was actually highly glazed and a lot more colourful than you might assume. It is really amazing to think about these little pieces and how they fit into the crockery used on a breakfast or dinner table so many years ago. I wonder what the people who drank from a cup or ate from a plate would think about me wearing their old crockery as a pair of earrings, a bracelet or a necklace.
Thanks so much for watching, commenting and liking the videos. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do take a minute to subscribe to the channel. Thanks also to everybody for helping us out through Etsy and through helping us out through Ko-fi. If you wonder why I'm laughing, I'm almost sitting in the water. The amount of times the water has filled my Wellingtons today is quite frightening.